In this lesson, we're going to be using AutoCAD to create the rocker arm design. So take a look at this. There's a lot going on here, but we essentially have some circles that we're going to be making and then joining them. So what we'll do then is go ahead and make sure that you look at the drawing. It's in metric, so you need to type in startup and then hit 1. And then you need to close AutoCAD, and this is really the only way to go from imperial to metric. And once you do that, you're going to reopen AutoCAD, and you should see a menu. Now the nice thing is if you do this at home, and go ahead and select metric. If you do this on a home computer, not in a network, usually it'll do it every single time, so you can do this. So then you make sure in metric. Again, if it's not in metric from the start, you can't convert it. It just never works. But let's go ahead and look at these circles. So we have some circles, and of course I always like to start at 0, 0. That gives me a reference. So I'm going to go ahead and circle, and then this time I'm going to go to circle radius. And I'll start with 0, 0. And then for this center part, I'm going to type in the radius is 50. So I'll type in 50 for the radius and push enter. And then I need to get this to scale here, so I'm going to make sure I have this cube here and select the top, and that kind of centers everything for me. And so I have to make 2 other circles here. So first thing I want to do is just verify what I'm doing. And you're going to notice that when you're using the metric, sometimes it defaults to this very strange looking dimension, and this is accurate. But what I'll do is I'll go here to Format, and I'll select the Dimension Style Manager. And if you modify this, this is where in advance you can do it. So I'm going to go to horizontal here and then centered, and you should see it preview it in advance. All right, and so you can also remove the draw between end lines in the fit, and you should see that there. So I'll show you in the next part how to do this in advance, but let's just go now. It'll do this from this point forward. All right, so then go ahead and select the radius, and I'll just remove this. And right now I'm verifying, but at the same time I want to just get my dimensions out of the way. All right, so now I'm going to add another circle here, and I'll do another circle radius. Remember, it's always circle radius if you don't know if you don't have a full circle. It's always going to be dimensioned that way. So I've got this one, the center is going to be over at 70 and then up at 40 millimeters. So I'll go ahead and type in 70, 40 for the center and push enter. And then this radius is going to be 25. So I'll go ahead and type in 25 for that radius. All right. So then the next part I want to do is I'm going to go minus, because this is on the X and Y. So I'll go ahead to my circle radius, and I'm going to type in minus X 50, and then Y will be minus 60. So I'll type in minus 50, comma, minus 60, enter. And then for this radius, it's 25. So I'll type in 25 and push enter. All right. So now the challenging thing is I have to join these together and somehow get rid of all these lines. So what I'm going to do is the top is fairly straightforward, but what we're going to use is something called a tangent. And there's 2 ways of doing it. One is to go to the Tools, Toolbar, AutoCAD, and you'll see Object Snap, and that's very helpful to have on there. So you'll see, and so what you do here is essentially you go ahead and select the Line tool, then you select the Snap to Tangent, click that, and then select Snap to Tangent again. It can be a little tricky. So see how it didn't do it? So there it is. All right, and then I push escape. Now the other way of doing it without that menu bar is to type in line and then type in TAN, enter, and that automatically starts it on tangent, and then type in TAN again and select the second point on the other circle. Much easier way of doing it. Either way is fine, and then hit escape. Now the bottom is a little different. The bottom is not a straight line. It's actually a tangent radius is what we use here. Very helpful tool. So this is much easier. Then I'll just go ahead and select the tangent of the first circle, tangent of the second, and then it depends where your mouse is actually placed, where it goes. But what we'll go ahead and do is type in the radius of 50, and we'll push enter. 50. All right, and push enter. And then we'll essentially do the same thing on the bottom left one. We'll go to tangent, tangent, radius, select the radiuses on the circles, and then we'll type in, this one is 40. And you'll see it there. Now the cool thing is, if I go ahead and type in this magic word trim, T-R-I-M, and then push enter, what I do is I select everything. All right, from the right to the left, it selects everything, and then I simply just get rid of what I don't want. So you want to look at the drawing and get rid of things that you don't want. Now, if the lines are not touching, it will not work. So it's really imperative that these lines are touching. So once you get these removed, you've completed the first lesson for the rocker arm design. For the second lesson of the rocker arm design, we're going to be putting the center components into the part. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go to the polygon tool. Even though there's a square there, it's a rectangle obviously, and we'll do the center one first. Number of sides, if you're looking at the drawing, it's 6. So we'll type in 6, and then what you want to do is we want to center it. So the easiest thing to do is actually type in 0, 0. You could try to snap to the center from those circles, but do that, and then we'll go ahead and click about the circle. All right, so it's very important that you select that within the control command line on the bottom. All right, so once you have that there, then it should automatically be in the manner that you want to see it. So the next one, what we'll do is just verify it. We'll dimension it, make sure that's accurate, and then we'll do it again. So we're going to do the next one we'll do is that square on the top. So it's 20 by 20. All right, so we'll do the same process here. All right, so what we need to do first here is actually, we want to use these snap features here to our advantage, so we don't have to guess, because we actually don't know the radius of this object. So we're going to snap this. This will be much easier for us. And we'll go ahead and select the polygon. And the polygon we're going to do is 4. So first we want to do the center, and the total number of sides is 4, right? So we'll type in 4, push enter. And then the nice thing is when we have these features on, it'll already tell us where the center is. So just what you want to do is select the center of that and circumscribed about circle. And it'll already automatically snap increments of 10. All right, so you want to verify this also. And this is where the snap commands can get a little annoying, is because it's going to try to snap. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead, once we did that, turn the snap settings off, go to grid snap, and then you want to turn that off. All right, so if it didn't turn off, go to the snap settings and just turn that snap off. Okay, and then we've done the bottom. Let's make sure that it is actually a rectangle here, a square, and there it is. Okay, so now we just have to put the next one in, which is at the bottom. And so that has a radius, radius of 10, diameter 20. And then we already know the center. I could just key in those numbers, which is minus 50, minus 60, but I can also just go ahead and snap because it's already indicating where it is. So I'll do the circle, and then I'll go ahead and type in the diameter of that. Okay. So let's go ahead and verify the dimensions. And so that's 20. And let's just go ahead, since we're here now, let's go ahead and start to dimension all these parts. And so it's really important that you get as close as you can from the textbook. That's kind of our gold standard. And we'll go ahead and dimension as much of this as we can right now. And so pretty straightforward here. All these radiuses need to be dimensioned, all the parts that we made. So just go ahead and snapping on there. And again, I'm kind of referring to my textbook, as should you. Feel free to pause this as you do it. And this is a great time to verify that you've actually done this properly. All right, so we also need to know where those circles, where the coordinates are. So we'll go ahead and snap to the center. You generally want to snap to the center of these types of objects rather than the outsides, because if you change the size, you still know where the center is. So that's very typical doing CAD dimensioning, is always dimension to the center whenever you can. Okay, so very straightforward here. You have to be very careful that you're actually snapping to the center and not the dimension line. That can be a place where people err very easily. I'm doing this rather quickly. I would expect you to take your time and make sure that you're getting the results that you need. All right, so I've just about finished this up. Make sure you have all your dimensions in here before you go ahead and make any changes. We're going to have to change the size of these, but I think for now we've got all the dimensions in place that we need, and you've completed lesson 2. In this last lesson, we're going to be finishing the dimensions, but we're actually going to change the size of the text in more of a meta as a group. So what we'll do is, you notice that we have the part lines larger, but these dimensions are actually larger in size. These are very hard to see. So what you do is you go to the format and you go to dimension style. But before you do it, hit set current. That'll make sure that everything you do is proactive here. So go to text. We're going to make this larger, and you can play around with this to 4. I think that's all I need to do on this, but you'll notice it automatically makes the change on all the dimensions rather than having to go to properties. However, on the lines, we will go to the properties. We'll select all the lines. I don't need to hold the shift key down. Go ahead and just select all the part lines that are on this drawing. And you don't want to get any dimensions. And then what we'll do is we'll either right click or go up to the modify and hit properties. And then what we want to do is change the line weight, and we're going at 0.5. And this really depends on the way you're printing it, and I know we're going to be doing a PDF, for example, on this one, and I know this works. All right, so then hit escape, verify that everything, the part lines are all where you need to. And again, there's a horizontal bars on the bottom. I've already made sure that's on there. It's on the bottom third of that below us. And then let's go ahead and put our name on here and the chapter 1 and what this is. So I'll go ahead and type in, this is the rocker arm design, chapter 1. So I'll go ahead and type that in, and if the scale is too small, we can change that, just like we changed the line weight. So I'll go ahead and type in the rocker design. Make sure I have a chapter 1. It gets a little confusing when you've got a lot of CAD files, so make sure you put that in there when we're done. Go ahead and type in your name. And select out of it with your mouse. And then you can move this. This is too small, so I'm going to go to properties, and I'll go to the text height, and let's go ahead and try 4, see how that works. Might be a little small here. Just don't want it to dominate too much. We are going to be teaching you how to use a template, but for now that looks good. And so center everything, print it, save it, and upload it for your grade. And you've completed the rocker arm design for AutoCAD.